It is a cold day in Boston, over here in Beacon Hill, headed into one of our projects over here. You guys, if you pay attention to the stories, we posted a little story last week. Floor finish was in process. Electricians on site today getting the recessed lights cut in. You guys asked that question, why we didn't do new work versus what we did do is remodeling cans, and we'll talk about that when we get upstairs. Quick shout out to my buddy Kyle over at Harnish Workwear. Got us these gaiters, much warmer than I expected them to be, and easy on, easy off, good for the mask, good for keeping the cold air from freezing my beard. Let's get into it. So you got Brian from Bishaw, I always want to call you Bishaw, Powerhouse. And his guys are on site doing electrical fixtures, devices, cutting in cans. But if you guys didn't catch it on our story, so these are old heart pine floors. A lot of this stuff is actually really old. We patched in some areas, I'll show you that in a second. And this is a Jacobine stain with a Bona Traffic HD. This is actually the new section. So they found some flooring to feather in. Everything will be really clean and super refined in here. The kitchen we're building in the shop, actually it's built, it's being finished right now, but really clean and modern. And you juxtapose to the floor, which is super nice, has that kind of classic look to it. And a lot of transition strips like this, rather than feathering the two floors together, we simplified it and just put something perpendicular, which still looks really great. So you guys had asked previously, Brian, what is the reason for not putting new work cans in?
I think it's just much faster to do it on the finish and you get exact locations.
So in here, we didn't actually have a lighting layout. Oftentimes we do if we're working with an architect, but this is kind of a design build with a interior designer. So a lot of these lighting locations, like Brian said, are just easier on the finish. So what they'll do is they get this little thing, hole saw, and this bucket around it essentially goes against the drywall, and when you're drilling it, keeps all the dust within that. I think, Brian, you had one with a vacuum attachment at one point, right?
Yep. Yeah, we can put a vacuum on it if you want.
I don't care. I just remember you having one. So that just keeps all the dust in there. Obviously the floor is protected. We got one more final coat here. We'll go on. We'll just ignore that. Never happened. One more final coat on the floors at the very end. So this actually got two coats already, and it's a commercial water-based finish. So, and we actually just met with the homeowner, and they are gonna remove these windows. We're gonna actually remove these on the end of this week after we get a nice big snowstorm. And these are gonna go to a window restoration company, and they're going to restore these windows. We did look into replacing them. If you guys are familiar with Boston, that is Starrow Drive. And essentially, we are not allowed to replace these windows without jumping through several hoops and probably a very long, tedious process. So instead, we'll take these and restore them. And check this out, you can actually see this is a double window, and they did that probably for sound, because you're actually not allowed to, oftentimes you're not allowed to use insulated glass. So you have one window and then a second window and then a storm window. So we'll go through, and all of these will be restored. All the hardware will get pulled off. This will get cleaned up. All of these edges will be nice and clean, stripped down, so you're not getting this caked on look. Really cool cathedral buttons on here. And I believe these, instead of rope, will get changed to a brass chain. At the very least, it will be upgraded hardware and all new hardware with new weights and balances, so these operate really nice. This was removed so we could take our delivery of our blue board and larger materials with a crane. So Got a fireplace coming in that was due this week. We're actually, as everyone is dealing with delays with parts, so they've pushed that out. We've gotten rid of the wood burning stove, and the homeowner wanted an electric one, so that's what's going to be going in there. We'll have some millwork that goes around. Over here, talked about these a handful of times. These are our easy jam doors, so these are all flush built in. They're kept up and off the floor because our baseboard detail will go right underneath it, so that will swing right above our cap. And this is just essentially a hidden closet. And you can see we have a low voltage wire there, and that will be for a jam switch. So when this door opens, the light will go on. And no hardware on this. This will just be a magnet close, and a strong rare earth magnet. Radiators will go back in. They're being repainted. And we got some low profile ones going in the other room. Got our HD pocket door. This is the door profile. Nice big top panel and small lower panel. And I think I've talked about this before, but on this wall here, you can see that we have a door to what will be a bedroom, and then a hidden door. And the reason we chose to make that a hidden door is because it's a small wall, small space, and we didn't want these two doors back to back. It just would have felt really, really busy. So we made the recommendation that we make this the architectural door, and over here this will be plastered in. Hidden door, again, same detail with the baseboard going underneath it, but it will all be painted. Actually, will be wallpapered to match, so it'll essentially be a hidden door. So in this space you'll have bathroom door, bedroom door, and you don't feel as though you're overwhelmed by door and large casing, because we will have a larger than normal casing. I shouldn't say normal, a larger casing than, I believe it's 4.5 inches or something like that. And then in this space here, double closet. We did do a center pole, so we have two doubles, but it will be opened up inside as one space. All our jam switches. We're using, Brian, what's the name of those jam switches?
Better switch.
Better switch. So it's a low voltage system, and it has a magnet that goes in the door, and when it's closed, that magnet essentially activates the other side. It's the other side of another magnet, essentially creating that contact to shut the light off and turn it on when the door is in the open position. I find it to just be better than some of the push buttons or even the ball style. Windows, prep the jam, put the jams in early because they're going to do a shutter, and they wanted to come out and manufacture or measure for those early on. And we also have been using this for our temp power. And what we did is we installed a sill light. The reason we put a sill light there is for the air conditioning units. This place does not have air conditioning. It's very hard to do so, if not impossible, with the condo regulations. So they tend to have these window units, and rather than having a cord drop below, put it in that window so you don't have that ugly cord hanging down. Nice little detail there. There they are here. So this is the side that will go in the door jamb, and that gets wired with the low voltage wiring, and that's the side that goes into the door. And if my understanding is correct, let's put this down here, is essentially, if you're looking at it like this is in your door jamb, this is in your door. When your door shuts, it pulls a magnet away from the contact, so that light goes off. And when you separate it, that contact drops back, making the connection in those low voltage, allowing that light to go on. So it's something that we try to continue to improve on. And one thing that we've talked about, especially in our millwork, is actually incorporating these in the millwork fabrication, so they're prepped early on, so we're not having to cut them later on. Because the one complaint I would say I have with these is that they're very small, and the hole that you drill has to be perfectly sized, otherwise they slip in and out. But they're far better than, like I said, the ball catch or even those large strike style. Here you go, Brian. And then we got our entryway here. We've already talked about this, the cool little round detail. or archtop detail that goes into a barrel ceiling. So you kind of get this infinity color where it just kind of goes up and around, never stops. And my thought there, you can see that the guys had to remortise this. This slab actually came in wrong from the manufacturer. So they flipped it around and remortised it rather than holding up the project. Super smart of them. That will get epoxied and filled. Have to be quick thinking on our feet when there's a mistake, as not to hold the job up. Going back to this, just a reminder, my thought here is that it's a small space, so if this was, say, painted gray, went up and had a hard line and then it was a white ceiling, it just would make this space feel really small. Instead, if it's all painted one color and you get this continuous kind of curve up and around, it gives you this cloud feel and makes a small entryway have a much bigger statement. And you can kind of see this is funky. If you guys remember, go back to another video, why this arch is actually cut off. It's a really interesting detail. It was as to what's going on here. And we felt as though when you walk in, you're not going to be looking up at this as much as you're going to be standing back there looking at this arch top. So well done to the team. And right now, bathroom is just a storage unit. So the floors, like I said, got done last week, and tile was actually done previously. Let me see if I can sneak in here, because you can see our detail. So you get tile that is flushed out with the plaster, and we also have our glass track here. And that glass track is flush with plaster as well. So let me walk you kind of through how we achieve that. If you follow me, let me see here. So this edge, this is our Schluter. I forget the name. Right. Oh, Jolly. So this is our Schluter Jolly edge. So essentially, if you can think of what's going on here, this tile, let's pretend that this plaster wasn't here, and it was a 1/2 inch further back. So we set this out further than our plaster. Let me actually back up even further than that. We have Schluter board, and what we did is we actually did blue board this wall. So Schluter board, blue board. We took the waterproofing and wrapped it onto the blue board, okay? So now you have a nice waterproof corner to allow for the water if it ever made it into this seam. After we waterproofed that corner, then we installed the glass track on top of our blue board on this side. And we took additional Curdy waterproofing and went over that flange of the glass track. Now we waterproofed that, and we were able to tile out and in front of this glass track right here. So now this glass track is on top of our blue board. We installed a second layer of blue board and put a stop bead here and plastered to that stop bead. So there's 2 layers of gyp here to allow for this glass track to be buried but also be waterproof behind it, because it's really important. Even though the glass will go in here and be waterproof and silicone, if water ever got in there and around, you wouldn't want it to be getting into raw blue board. You want to be protecting that. So kind of hard to walk through. Kind of see that makeup right there. Kind of hard to walk through in what we're looking at here, but hopefully you guys can see it when we complete. Like I said, this is just a storage unit right now because everything had to be off of the wood floors. But yes, that is what's going on here. And a reminder, we're still planning on keeping that awesome steel column exposed. We're going to paint that, and then Ken and his team have built the island, and they have these square steel legs that will go on either side of the island, and those will be fabricated actually after we put the island in. And the reason being is because from end to island, the other end of the island, the floor changes in height, changes in pitch. So they want the island in. They're actually going to build a template, give it to Rich, our metal fabricator, and he'll make those legs to fit perfectly. And furthermore, they're going to take a router and router out the floor to recess the steel down and in it. It's those details that are minor, but they make a big difference from the level of execution and what it looks like. And yes, we do have a washer dryer combo unit, within the island in the kitchen. We don't have a lot of space in here, so that's where they wanted it. It's kind of tucked out of the way, and you know, the laundry load is never going to be very high, especially being 1 bedroom, and this is, you know, 2nd guest bedroom, or probably a work from home office at this point. So, but yeah, that's a quick site update on our project here. If you guys, I was going to point this out actually, because a few of you guys have asked. Niche here, that is for a TV, and all of the bracket and everything will kind of recess back, and that TV will sit nice and tight into that wall. But either way, like I was saying, site visit to this project, a little update. If you guys are appreciating this, make sure you drop a comment below, let us know, and we will see you guys next week.